Wow, so it's not over yet. I didn't get through all of it, but I got all the way up through lunch in the trial. I still have, the rest of the day to watch, but it seems as though I can say for certain that the testimony of Gaige Grosskreutz, I believe is how you say that. It's tough. It's one of those German names where they just take a bunch of words and put them together, and it really should be multiple words. But let's just call him Gaige. Who was the one survivor of the Kenosha massacre, the only one of Kyle Rittenhouse's alleged victims to actually walk away from that terrible scene. The great heroes Joseph Rosenbaum and Anthony Huber, on the other hand, died at the scene. But Grosskreutz lives on, so he can tell their story, and he can tell us all about what a terrible person Kyle Rittenhouse is and how he tried to murder him. And I have to say, I thought that early in the morning when he first started testifying, he seemed like a pretty good witness for the prosecution. I thought, you know what, they're making this guy seem pretty reasonable. Because I went into it thinking, oh yeah, this is some Antifa gunman who was chasing down Rittenhouse, because that's what the video appeared to show. And they presented him as an EMT, a real EMT who went through all the training and everything and went to school for it, unlike, let's say, Kyle Rittenhouse, who allegedly told previous witnesses that he was an EMT when in fact he wasn't, and he was trying to act as one, and give people first aid. Gaige Grosskreutz actually was a real EMT, and he was there, and he was wearing a hat that said paramedic, and he was talking about how he had treated up to 10 people that night, and also about how he was carrying a gun, and he's a strong advocate of the Second Amendment and self-defense. He was like a mirror image of Rittenhouse. He was everything that Rittenhouse's supporters say that Kyle is. That's who the prosecution was making out Gaige Grosskreutz to be. But alas, that only lasted a couple hours. The prosecution decided that they had no further questions for old Gaige around 11, I think. 11 a.m. Central Time, I mean. That's why it's a little tough for me, because I was watching it I was watching it like 30 minutes delayed at that point, and then, it ended up throughout the day because I kept pausing. I'm now like 2.5 hours behind. Going to be close to 3 hours behind after I'm done recording this and uploading it. So I've got a ways to go. But I think around 11-ish this morning, Central Time, the prosecution said, oh, we're done with Gaige. We've asked him enough, and we think, he said some good stuff to us. And then we move on to the defense's cross-examination, which was done by Sheriff Feasey, not by Richards. I've not seen Richards cross-examine one witness. I had heard, a lot of negative stuff about Richards before I started watching the trial. It's part of the reason why I kind of wasn't watching it. I was afraid. I didn't want to cringe the whole time. But Sheriff Feasey has been cross-examining all of the prosecution's witnesses since I started watching, and he's been pretty much on fire with all of them. And Mr. Grosskreutz was no different. I don't know where to start. It was so terrible. And in fact, it's about to get a lot worse. They ended on a cliffhanger before lunch, but Sheriff Feasey only had this guy in a room for about an hour, but he shredded him almost as bad as Kyle shredded Gaige's bicep. And, I can't bury the lead on this. I don't know what else to say other than Sheriff Feasey was able to finesse Gaige into admitting that Kyle was acting in self-defense in his own opinion. You see, old Gaige is an EMT, he's a paramedic, as he stated in the direct examination, and the defense decided to show him a picture of two pictures of people hitting Kyle before Kyle shot old Gaige, when Gaige was walking up to Kyle. And Kyle was struck by a man known as Jump Kick Man. We don't really know who he is, but that he delivered a jump kick to look to be Kyle's head, or thereabouts. And Anthony Huber, now deceased, who hit Kyle over the head with his skateboard. And so they asked Mr. Grosskreutz, hey, you witnessed this. You're a paramedic. were you at all concerned for Kyle when you saw this? And he said, yes. Anytime that brain trauma is coming into the picture, you have to take that with extreme care. It's a very serious situation. And so he brought it up. He said, hey, this is brain trauma or head trauma, some phrase like that, some medical term. It was introduced by Gaige himself. He brought it up. He's the EMT. And so he kind of went off into a second, kind of forgot that he had a personal interest here, and went into talking about, in his professional opinion, what that looked like in that picture. And it sounded certainly like Kyle's life was being threatened. And legally then, he would be justified in acting in self-defense, in using lethal force. In fact, he would have been justified, it would seem, not only in shooting Anthony Huber, but also Jump Kick Man. And so, Gaige, the one survivor of of the massacre in Kenosha, in which this alleged mass shooter, Kyle Rittenhouse, went on a rampage and shot 3 people, killing 2 of them. The only survivor appears to have essentially, in his own mind, cleared Kyle of any wrongdoing in the case of at least one of those deaths, in the case of Anthony Huber. He says, no, it seemed like Anthony Huber was, caused him brain trauma. And, legally, if that were the case, I mean, that certainly would justify Kyle shooting him. And so you're in a pretty tight spot at the prosecution if you get into a position where your star witness, the one survivor of this man's rampage, essentially said that Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. But it gets worse. We then get to the defense discussing with Gaige the seconds leading up to when Kyle shot him. And it shows Gaige reaching for his back, where Gaige said he was concealing his weapon, and reaching for his gun and pulling it out at a point when, according to Gaige, Kyle, and according to the photos, Gaige was asked to guess, or not guess, but estimate how far away he was from Kyle at that point. He was over 30 feet away, by his own account, when he started reaching for his gun. So, pretty far from him. And Kyle, it's not like Kyle was pointing his gun at him. Kyle was dealing with other people. Kyle was trying to run away. There were other people chasing him, according to Gaige. Gaige himself says, no, I wasn't chasing him. There were a bunch of people chasing him, and I was sort of just, I was running with them, but I wasn't running at Kyle. No. They were, though, but not me. And he said, no, I was concerned about Kyle's well-being, because when he was hit over the head like that, that's very bad. That was his way of trying to cover for saying, no, I didn't chase him. I wasn't chasing him down. I was just trying to go over and help him. Which would imply that Kyle was in danger. Actually, it doesn't imply. If he outright said it, Kyle was in danger. And so he pulls his gun and he starts running over there. And when Huber comes to try and grab Kyle's gun, only then does Kyle shoot Huber. Because remember, Huber had already hit him over the head with a skateboard or a few seconds earlier. So he shot Huber, and Huber drops dead. Then Gaige Grosskreutz puts his hands up. Hands up, don't shoot. That's what he does. He pulls that, and Kyle lowers his weapon. Then Gaige goes, psych, and raises his gun, points it at Kyle. And the next picture, I kid you not, is Gaige Grosskreutz pointing his gun at Kyle Rittenhouse, and Kyle having the rifle raised up. I don't even think Kyle was looking down the sights. I think he was kind of not quite firing from the hip, but he was not looking down, his sights. And he managed to, in the words of Gaige Grosskreutz, vaporize his bicep. And you can see this in the picture. Gaige is pointing the gun at Kyle, and his arm is it's exploding, and there's red everywhere, and it's blurred out because it was a perfect, they completely captured that moment. And so that image right there made the entire defense in this particular, because remember, there's 3 charges here, or, well, there's more than 3 charges, but there's 3 separate instances in which Kyle is in trouble for shooting people. One of them here, we have the alleged victim, Gaige Grosskreutz, pointing a gun at Kyle as Kyle shoots him. So it seems pretty clear. Oh, Gaige was pointing a gun at Kyle when he shot him. That's self-defense. Doesn't get simpler than that. And the exact instant is there captured in an image and on video, of course. Now, the defense decided to show this image to Gaige. Ask him what he saw. He said, "It looks like my arm being my bicep being vaporized." And they said, "Would you agree that your gun is pointed at Kyle?" Now, Gaige could have said, no, I wasn't pointing at Kyle. That's just how it looks with the camera. That's not right. You know, it's don't believe me, not your lying eyes. It was angled to off a little bit, but I was not pointing it directly at him. I was holding the gun, but I was not pointing it directly at him. That's what he should have said. He didn't. He said, no, I agree. I was pointing my gun at Kyle. He gave that up. He conceded that to the defense. Why would you do that? He did it because, you know, that's just what happens when you get there up there on the stand. A skilled attorney can, you know, manipulate. Well, I don't want to say manipulate, but they can, you know, but yeah, they can push you. They can get you to say things that are not favorable to you. And so after that, you know, Grosskreutz he's done. And the worst thing is, they had more to go after him with, and they're going to keep eating it. And I can't go after all of it. I can't go after the. Well, you know what? I will. I'll go after what I know, or I'll go after. It's the wrong phrase. I will go over what I know. That what else they're going to hit him with, because I haven't watched all of it. One big thing was he omitted from his statement to the police, which, again, why make statements to the police? Don't do that. Never talk to cops. That's just not in your best interest legally. He omitted in his statements to law enforcement that he had a gun. He just said, oh, yeah, I was in front of Rittenhouse and he shot me for no reason. Sure. That's what he said happened. Of course, now, because we have video, we know he was pointing a gun at Rittenhouse. He never said that, never put that in any of his statements. He also didn't put that in his statements, in his legal claims that he filed against the city of Kenosha, and I think at least one other government, maybe. But he's suing the city of Kenosha for $10 million, you know, as in damages for what happened to him, and completely omitted the admitted fact at this point, that he had a gun. Not only that he had a gun, but that he admits to pointing that gun at Kyle Rittenhouse as he's being shot. And let's not forget that that initially, Kyle pointed his gun at him once before. He put his hands up, and Kyle didn't shoot. Then he put his hands down and pointed the gun at him, and then Kyle shot him. I mean, he gave him a chance. He had a chance. He put his hands up. Kyle said, okay, I won't shoot you. Now, also, according to Gaige, it seems he put out a tweet alluding to or telling somebody, you know, when they were showing that video, oh, hey, make sure you listen for when the defendant's gun jams. And he talked about how, the reason why he thought that, after he put his hands up, the reason why he thought that Kyle didn't accept his surrender, and that's why he had to point his gun at him, because Gaige is now trying to plead self-defense against Kyle, which is very interesting. They're arguing over who was the aggressor. Gaige is saying, well, I saw him re-rack his gun, like he changed the mag. I remember specifically something that was, I thought strange about Rittenhouse, is that he only had one mag. So first of all, I knew he didn't change mags. So why was he, why would he have to, well, he used the phrase re-rack. Rack, I don't really use the term rack for a rifle like this. I mean, you kind of say rack when you have a slide on a handgun, but charge the rifle. He's saying that he charged the rifle while he's on the ground, which to me is even more impressive. But if he's referring to in this tweet that the gun jammed, well, it sounds like no, Kyle wasn't. It's not like Kyle burned through 30 rounds and put a new mag in. We know Kyle didn't shoot that much. It seems as though Kyle's gun jammed. He cleared the jam while on the ground. So he shoots what's his face, Huber, with the skateboard. He goes down. His gun jams. Grosskreutz seems to have noticed that, which might be why he decided to give up his surrender and raise his gun to him. Because he says, oh, well, Rittenhouse re-racked, meaning he cleared the jam. And so in between that, so Rittenhouse's gun jammed. He cleared it and was still able to precisely hit Grosskreuz's arm, the arm that was holding the gun to make him drop the gun before he could shoot him. I mean, that kid is a ninja. It's amazing. I mean, if I had been in that situation, not only would I be dead, I probably would have, in a desperate attempt at trying to save myself, I probably would have hit, like bystanders. It's amazing that Rittenhouse injured no one except for the people who were trying to kill him, allegedly. And the gun jammed, and he was able to clear it, and he still lived. I mean, it's, wow. What discipline. So, I think I'll save the last thing, which was a comment about Grosskreuz's regrets. Because I haven't seen that play out yet, and I think they're going to have, the defense said they're going to bring another witness regarding that statement by Grosskreutz later. But that was, to me, those were the highlights. I mean, it was a lot of action today, and I only just got through lunch. I still have half the day of the trial left to watch tonight. So, if you're not watching the Rittenhouse trial, go over to Rekieta Law, watch Nick Rekieta's stream. It's absolutely fantastic. So, with that said, I will see you folks back here tomorrow.